Hey everybody, welcome to Money's No Object. I am your host, Dylan Howell. This is episode number 64 of our YouTube channel and podcast, and I could not be more excited to continue working with you guys talking about personal finance topics that I think can be really useful for you in your long-term financial journey. Today, we're going to focus on something that I've alluded to multiple times this week, but we're really going to nail down on the details of it, and that is financial balance and how through being extremely generous, through giving, through doing these things that we've talked about throughout the course of this week, you can maintain financial balance and the importance of doing so over the course of your life to maintain a healthy view of money. Before we get started though, if you could go down below, hit the big red subscribe button, like this video, hit the thumbs up. Also, leave me any feedback in the comments. Any questions or comments that you may have, go ahead and leave them down there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, then go ahead and subscribe to the podcast there and leave me a review. Also, follow me on social media at MNO with Dylan. I put a lot of good stuff out there that I think could be really useful to all of you and is a good supplement to these daily videos that I'm putting out. So you can find that there, like I said, at MNO with Dylan. And then if you want to start working with me as a financial coaching client and to build a relationship of me helping you build a financial plan and walking through a financial plan with you, then go to my website, www.mnowithdylan.com. Click on the Work with Dylan tab and pick the financial coaching session type that suits your needs the best. And we can definitely begin to work together and start building this relationship and pushing you towards long-term financial success. Now, as we've already talked about this week, there are three uses of money, and I've talked about this before this week as well, but this is a big tenet of what I teach and of what I want you guys to understand, is that there are three uses of money. We will go over them again. I'll continue to beat this dead horse. We have the giving portion of what we can do with our money. We have saving and or investing, and then we have spending. And those are the only three uses of money that you can really think of. Those are the only three ways that we go about allocating our money on a month-to-month basis as we budget. And if any one of these is the primary focus of what you are doing, then you can get out of financial balance, which is the whole idea of today's videos. We don't want to allow ourselves to get out of financial balance, and we want to look at this through the lens of our giving and how we can get out of balance there. But we don't want to get out of balance on any of these three things. And typically wherever we do get out of balance, we have some great excuse as to why we got out of balance in that place. Oh, well, I just, I need to save more, so I'm only saving. Or, oh, I had to have these things, so I spent all this money on them and I didn't give or I didn't save. Or people are failing to do the things that keep them balanced, and they're failing to do the things that are going to benefit them over the long term in the name of either short-term gratification or selfishness or just looking at themselves when it comes to their own financial life and not also looking outward. So you can make good financial decisions and they not be balanced. So they may not be good for you, but they may be overall healthy for an individual who needs to build financial assets. So if you're saving or investing, that's a good thing to do. Spending money on things that you need is a good thing to do. Spending money on things that you want within a reasonable boundary is a good thing to do. But what is not a good thing to do is to do any of those and not be giving. And you could be giving to where you can't save and invest, to where you can't spend money on anything other than just direct needs. And that can be an issue as well. So anytime those things get out of whack, then your financial life can tend to crumble afterwards. And so we don't want that to happen. And that's why this idea of financial balance keeps coming back up as we go over this week's topics, because the most neglected part of the uses of money is the giving use of money. People don't give. They aren't that generous. People don't have an outward look on, their money. They look at money as something that they can consume and they can use and they can do something with, not something they can use to benefit others. And given that, it becomes unhealthy the way that we manage our money. And I don't want that to be the case. I want us to have a healthy view of money that will benefit both ourselves and others over the long term. So we've talked a bit before about this, but I want to reiterate, why should we be giving? Well, we should be giving because if you are a Christian, then you should believe that God is the ultimate giver and that God gives us life and he gives us the opportunity to come back to him and to spend our life eternally with him. And he gave us Jesus as an atonement for our sins. And so God is the ultimate giver. And so why should we not also be generous, those who don't deserve the generosity from him? And then the Bible also says that God loves a cheerful giver. God loves somebody who gives out of the joy of his heart. And that's something that, if you look at that, it seems pretty clear that giving is a priority and being generous is a priority of a Christian life. But apart from that, we give because we're fulfilled when we give. Giving is something that, when you realize the needs of others, when you look outwardly, then you can realize others' needs, you can meet those needs, and that feels good. It feels good to help other people. It feels good to meet other people's needs and see that you are making an impact in the lives of others. That's, part of what we've already talked about this week is being impactful with our giving. And I don't want that to get lost, because the impact that we make will motivate us to continue to give and give and give over time. And then we should also give because there are obviously people and organizations that could use our money to further the causes that we actually believe in. Because we talked already this week about aligning our giving with our beliefs and our values. And if we're actually doing that, if we're actually aligning our beliefs and our values with our giving, then we will feel good about it. We'll feel like, we are making the impact that we should be making, and that these individuals or these organizations that we are supporting are doing the good that we want them to do, and they're doing the good that we want to see done in the world, and we can be a part of that. And that is a fulfilling thing. That's something that will allow us, once again, to continue giving over time, that will motivate us to not just look inwardly with money, but also look outward. And then lastly, we give because we can. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Most of us can find room in the budget to give. We just fail to do so. We live above our means. We buy things that are too expensive. We live our lives on credit cards and loans. We do all these things to try to look financially successful, and yet we aren't actually having money in the bank. And so we can make a lot of adjustments that allow us to give. And let's not get it twisted. We are the richest country in the world, in the United States. Why in the world could we not be the generous ones? Why in the world could we not be the ones that make an impact to others that are less fortunate than we are? We should be those. The rich should look after the poor. And so that needs to be our calling. That needs to be what we do, and a primary motivation as to why we should be giving consistently and being consistently generous to others. Now, given all of this, there still seems to be this idea in many people's minds that, well, I'm not too generous, or I don't give money to anything specifically, and I'm fine. I'm doing fine financially. Well, then the question becomes, well, are you really? Is your view of money really healthy? Are you actually doing things with your money that is beneficial long term? Are you becoming too much of a miser with your money? Are you becoming too much of a spendthrift? Are you doing too much in one particular area that is getting you out of balance? And so why do we have this view of, well, I don't give, I'm good, I don't have to do this, this is not important to me? Well, we can be selfish. Generosity is not primarily motivated by personal gain. It's something where we can't just look and say, what does this do for me? Or we'll likely be very disappointed at the outcomes. So if we are selfish individuals, if we do only think about ourselves and the benefits that we can gain from things that we do with our money, then we will fail to pick up on this importance of giving and of looking outward with our money. And this idea of generosity, it relies on us thinking of others as more than ourselves. It takes an emotional response, because money is an extremely emotional thing. It's a very behavioral thing. When we act with our money, it is saying where our heart is. It is telling you what you think is most important. If you show me your bank statement or your credit card statement or whatever it may be, I can show you what's most important in your life. And so if we aren't giving, then what are we saying? Are we saying that we don't think of others as important as ourselves? Well, maybe we are saying that. And so that's what giving takes. It takes this outward view. It takes this view that I think that others are just as important as I am. I think others are more important than I am after I just meet my needs. And so it takes this different worldview, and it's a reason a lot of people don't want to get involved with systematic giving. And then also, some people may not give because they're pessimistic. They don't think that the world can be impacted by how they're going to give or by the money that they choose to give. They have this certain view of the way that the world works, and they think that the world doesn't have much hope anyway, and others don't have much opportunity anyway, so they might as well just get theirs. Like, they won't say this out loud. Individuals don't say this out loud, but it's definitely a consideration that people make. They think, well, there's nothing much I can do, so I might as well go and get mine. And that's a primary motivation for individuals not giving and not being generous. But once again, this falls into that idea of selfishness. But it is a pessimistic worldview. It is a pessimistic view of what you can do and the impact that you can make. We've already talked this week about how you can make an impact. You can do things even with small amounts that make a difference in the lives of others. And that should not be looked down upon. That should not be something that, we think is, minimized or is something that is scoffed at. It should be something that we lift up. We want to give to others and make impacts in others' lives, even if it is in small amounts, even if it is not this huge, ginormous impact. You can only change the world one step at a time. You can only change the world with some systematic, impactful plan of how you're going to be generous, how you're going to give, how you're going to do good for others. You can't change the world all at once. So don't try to, and you won't be so pessimistic at your thought process. You won't be so pessimistic about your ability to impact others and change the way that others' lives are going relative to your own. And what's another reason that people don't give? Well, they don't give because it's normal not to give. It's a normal thing. It is a common worldview that you look around and it's not something that's touted. It's not advertised to be generous. It's not advertised to make the change that you want to see in the lives of others and in these organizations that are going to help further your values and beliefs. That's not something that is pushed. What's pushed is consumerism, individualism, and just all these just products and services and things that you don't even need, that they will talk you into needing for no good reason via Facebook ads and Instagram ads and all these different things. That can really have an impact on how you view the world. If you don't see something as normal or commonplace, you're far less likely to take part in it. And so if we don't see generosity taking place, if we don't see giving of individuals' finances taking place, then guess what? It's far less likely that we're going to do it. And that is more of a cultural issue. That's more of a societal issue than it is for the individual. But the individual still has to take the responsibility to maintain balance in their own life. And that would be to realize that this is a necessary part of good financial management. And people also don't give because they're discontent. They're not content with what they have. And we've talked about contentment multiple times and how contentment is not just about being happy, but it's being in a place where you are satisfied and you're grateful for what you have, and you believe that there's enough for others, and you believe that you can make an impact in the lives of others. But individuals who are discontent, they don't think that what they have is enough to help others, so they don't even try. They spend most of their time on their wants instead of the needs of others, because this is kind of that pessimistic worldview again, where they think, well, I might as well go and get mine and get what I can get because I can't do anything about anybody else's situation. And they trust that their use of money is simply to be self-serving, and that others can do whatever they want with their money, but I'm going to do what I want with mine. And, in a lot of cases, this discontentment can also rise up in a way where it is, I have to have as much money saved or invested as humanly possible. Therefore, I'm not going to give because I have to make sure that I'm set up for the future. Well, how much is enough? How much is going to make you happy? Well, the truth is no amount is going to make a man happy. Many people set numbers and they say, oh, if I get to 1 million, I'll be happy at 1 million. Or if I get to 3 million, I'll be happy at 3 million or 10, whatever it may be. And very commonly they will zoom past those numbers and just set new goals and say, well, when I get to this number, and that's being discontent. That's being not grateful for what you have, not thankful for the ability that you have to grow that wealth, and not using that money or any of your financial resources for the betterment of others. And so we want to make sure that we don't fall into this discontent camp, and that we do maintain our gratitude towards having what we have and being thankful that we were even given the opportunity to have the financial resources that we do have. And of course, all of these reasons not to give and the reasons that people don't give, what will they do? They will ruin your financial balance. They will pull you out of the arena of financial balance, because you will just be doing one or both of the other uses of money, and that is unhealthy for you. So how can you maintain your financial balance? How is balance going to be maintained, and how can you create balance by giving if you aren't already? Well, first of all, don't view your money as your own or as others. Like, don't look at money as something that is owned by an individual. Look at your money as something that is from God, something that is gifted to you, something that you have worked for because you've been given the opportunity from God to work for it, and that you are a manager for the good of others and for the good of yourself. It is not a binary decision. It's not them or me. It is both. It is, the resources that you have should be used to do the things that God has called you to do with your money. You are simply a manager. And when you view things this way, you'll have no problem deciding to give some of your money. And you'll have no problem allocating money in ways that is not just self-serving, because you'll realize that it's not all about you. And you'll realize that God's plan for your money and God's plan for the way that you are supposed to manage the money that He has given you is to give, is to be generous, is to be looking out for others, loving your neighbors, caring for your neighbors. And once we view money in this way, then we can find our way back to being balanced financially if we aren't already there. Another way that we can maintain financial balance is to always be giving. Don't have a situation in which you do not give, or a month that you do not give or do not allocate money to give and then actually act on that. But really be doing all three, just to be clear, but always be giving, because that is the thing that we're focused on here, because giving is the one that most people fail to do, though many also fail to save or invest, but many people fail to give. And you have to always be doing all of them, always working all of the muscles, or else they will get weak. And it's very likely that you could just stop altogether, and that's not what we want. So what does it say about us that we always spend, but we don't want to do the other two? Well, we are short-term and selfish people. If we always are wanting to spend the money, but it's hard to save and it's hard to give, well, the saving or investing aspect is saying, I don't, if you don't do that, then I don't care about my future as much as I care about my today. And then not giving is I don't care about the lives of others as much as I care about my own today. And once again, both of those are short-term and selfish. And if you give, you will feel the need to responsibly invest for your future as well. And so that's why all of this balance works together so well, is because the idea of saving or investing and giving are so similar in that you give to different organizations and you do research on them and you put your money there and you want to make sure your money is going to good use, and you're allocating money to do that on a monthly basis. But if you're putting money into the future of other people, you will also want to invest money in your own future. You'll see the need and the importance of investing money for your own future. And so you'll naturally, if you give, have this inclination to save, and you'll naturally have this inclination to invest because you want money later to be able to give, and you want money later to be able to also spend on things that you need and or want. So you will see that need if you are always giving, if you are always working that particular financial muscle. And then the biggest way that we can maintain financial balance, and I know it's redundant, I know it's something that I've said before, but it cannot be overstated. You must budget. You have to be budgeting. You have to be writing down, what is my income? What are my expenses? How much am I giving? How much am I investing? How much am I spending on the phone bill? How much am I spending on television? How much am I spending on gas and groceries and eating out and all of these things? You must budget it in. You must budget in that giving along with all of your other expenses. Because if you fail to budget, then you can easily think that you, one, don't have room in your budget, or two, you won't know whether you have room in your budget or not, and three, you'll just be sitting there and the ambiguity and the uncertainty will eat at you, and you'll say, well, I don't know if I can really do it. I don't know if I have the ability to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. It will create the inaction that we don't want to see. We want to see action. We want to see actually going and doing and giving and being generous in the ways that you want to. And without budgeting, then we aren't given the confidence to do so because there is no plan. There is no vision for how we want to give. There is no vision for how we want our life to go when it comes to being generous. And that's a problem. And the truth is, we need to be looking at all of our financial information in order to take a holistic approach, meaning we're looking at everything, to maintaining financial balance. Because balance doesn't just have to do with giving. Though that is the most neglected leg of that three-legged stool that we've talked about of financial balance, although that's the most neglected one, that does not mean that that's the only thing that we have to be focusing on here. We have to be looking at all three things simultaneously and making sure that balance is maintained and making sure that everything is working together in this type of rhythm that is allowing our financial life to move forward while not being selfish and self-serving and helping others and doing things for others while still helping ourselves at the same time. And, lastly, in order to stay financially balanced, I would just say maintain an accountability partner of some type. If you're married, you need to be doing your budget with your spouse at least on a monthly basis and going over everything with your spouse, sitting down, having some quiet alone time to make these decisions and talk about these things that are extremely important. And you can be accountable to that person. Typically, when individuals are married, they don't have the exact same view of money, even though they can get on the same page and work towards a plan. They may have different tendencies as to how they will act around money. One may be a big saver, one may be a big spender. But you both have to come together and see that the balance in your financial life can be maintained, can be created if you just sit down and you budget and you make a plan and you work together on making that plan. But if you aren't married, if you are a single individual, then have a parent, a sibling, a trusted friend, somebody that's really good with money that you can rely on to check out what you're doing and say, okay, I think you may be a little out of whack here, and trust their responses, and believe that their responses are only good for you, then really look into, what they may think, and really take those things to heart, because other individuals can look at things objectively in ways that we can't. So having the help is a big deal. And then if you want some more comprehensive help in this place of staying accountable, then you can always contact me, and we can work in financial coaching with one another. And you can sign up for that on my website, www.MNOwithDylan.com. And that is in the Work with Dylan tab there. And we can create those plans together, and we can walk through it together. And I can help you maintain accountability and help you to move forward in your financial life in a way that you're wanting to. And that's so important, because otherwise it is easy for us to ruin our financial balance if we don't have somebody else looking over our shoulder. If there's nobody to be accountable to, it's very easy to just say, well, then I'm just going to do what I want. And naturally, I think we all have a tilt towards one thing or another. We are not all just perfectly balanced individuals. So we need somebody to help us work our way in that idea of financial balance. So financial balance is something that I preach time and time again, and I don't want you guys to get tired of it, because it is a key tenet of good financial habits and good financial management. And if you're failing to maintain balance, then at some point you're going to get bitten. At some point, you're going to either be bitten financially or be bitten emotionally, or something, to where the ways that you've handled your money and the ways that you've viewed money have not been good for you and your family. And so I just want to make sure we all get on the same page, and we can all look at our money situations through the three uses of money: giving, saving, and spending. And we can always be doing all three, and always be planning them out and doing them in proportions that are healthy for our particular financial lives. And specifically, our giving as a part of this financial balance can give us contentment and joy in our financial situation that we've never had before. And typically that is the piece missing in maintaining financial balance. So adding that piece can really give us peace, no pun intended. So we can actually have some peace in our personal financial life if we are to add that particular thing in. That is very emotional, and that is very intertwined with our beliefs and values and who we actually are. So the generosity and the giving portion, it will change who you are, and it'll change how you look at money forever. So hey guys, don't forget to subscribe. Go down below and hit the big red subscribe button. Like this video, hit the thumbs up. Leave me any feedback in the comments if you haven't done so already. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, then make sure that you subscribe there and leave me a review. Also, follow me on social media at MNO with Dylan. And I think that would be a really good thing for you to supplement these videos and help you to continue learning day by day. And as I've said already, if you need help with your financial plan and need somebody to be accountable with, that's what I am here for. Just go to my website, www.MNOwithDylan.com, click on the Work with Dylan tab, and pick the financial coaching session type that would work best for you. And we can begin working together, building your financial plan out and walking through it step by step. So tune in tomorrow as I talk about giving to make the world a better place, regardless of what our faith is, regardless of what our religion is, because giving is so intertwined with our faith and with what we believe. But I think we can all make a difference regardless of what we may think or believe, but we can do it in different ways, and we can do it in ways that maybe another individual would not do it. And so I want to talk about those ways tomorrow, and we'll really dive in to what our giving can do regardless of what our beliefs are. So thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Money's No Object. I'm your host, Dylan Howell. God bless.